Welcome to the Dr. Leadership Podcast, where the DR stands for Driving Results. Our focus is weekly conversations around life and business relationships and the important leadership qualities for both. These concepts and qualities will help you drive positive results in both your business and personal lives. A weekly connection point to help business leaders develop individual contributors, managers, and executives on your teams. We also will tie in concepts around family focus and life lessons to help you drive success in your personal life. Welcome to the Dr. Leadership Show. Let's get after it. Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Dr. Leadership Podcast. We can be reached at drleadership.results@gmail.com. That's drleadershipresults@gmail.com. Check us out on the website, www.drleadershipresults.com. That's www.drleadershipresults.com. Hope you're having an awesome day. Myself, great day. Really happy day. Every day I try to be optimistic and happy. Refer to last week's episode. Go through life with that glass half full, man. It is too short to not be happy. So what are we going to discuss today? As I said last week, first of all, got a great guest coming on the show in a couple of weeks here. It'll be out into the universe of technology. Zeros and ones will be flying through space at you with Commander Lippold, who was the commander on the USS Cole that was bombed by Al-Qaeda terrorists in a port in the country of Yemen in the year 2000. October 12th of 2000. Lost 17 sailors, saved the ship, saved dozens and dozens more men, and made America proud. And talk about managing a crisis. Woo! I can't even imagine. Hero. He takes no credit, by the way. Points to the heroes are the boys and girls on the ship. Undoubtedly heroes. But what I want to talk about today ties into, and I set it up briefly last week, and the name of this episode is, Does Money Buy Happiness? What I want to discuss is it a misnomer or is it accurate? We covered change over the last several weeks, and on the discussion of run to and not from of last week, we touched on money buying happiness. So the age-old analogy of money doesn't buy happiness, is that accurate? Is it true? There's all sorts of subjectivity here that can come into this conversation, but I think I'm going to round this out for you on where I'm going with this. The money-happiness conundrum has been around for a long time, right? Those that don't have money want money. Those that do have money sometimes can't be made happy because they have it. But that conundrum has actually been studied by a Nobel Prize-winning scientist. I'm going to touch on that person's name in a minute. But there's a great article in Inc. magazine here that got me thinking about this. And that article is by Nick Hobson, who is the chief behavioral scientist for Apex Scoring Solutions. And he wrote a very interesting article in Inc. magazine that touched on this and got my kind of juices flowing. It ties in good with happiness and optimism and handling change and all those things have been discussed in the last few weeks. And I'm kind of rounding out the topic with this week's edition. So this guy's really smart, and he decided to write this article and utilize some very, very smart people to help bring it together. So the old saying of money doesn't buy happiness can be seen as an empty warning. It's an empty warning cry, let's call it, for those obsessed with money. But scientists have studied this concept for years with really some surprising results. And the results have kind of changed a few times. Now, I don't think money necessarily buys happiness. But I will tell you what I think money does. It provides freedom. Freedom to not worry. Freedoms of experience. Freedom from anxiety. Freedom to love other people through objects and tangible items to let you know how you feel. Freedom to see the world, freedom to experiences, which I already said. And it really, really, really allows you to get out of life what you want out of life. It takes away that fiscal concern. How am I going to get by this month? Instead, you can concentrate on, what do I want to do this month? What book do I want to read? What movie do I want to see? Is there a vacation I'd like to go on? Can I help support causes that mean a lot to me? There's tons of freedom with financial security. That's why I've touched on that in the past. I'm going to touch on it again. Still trying to round out and get my financial person that runs the 401k program to get that interview set up to kind of tie it back together. So I'm stepping into that because we're getting close. But does money buy you happiness? This Nobel Prize winning scientist, he goes by the name of Daniel Kahneman. That's Kahneman, Kahneman maybe. Might be pronouncing that wrong. Need to be hooked on phonics. Or if you were really hooked on phonics, wouldn't hooked on phonics be hooked on pahonics? It's a great Brian Regan joke, if you aren't familiar with him. But he's an economics Nobel Prize winner and has spent most of his career studying how time and money impact happiness. So, probably been a very interesting journey. I mean, I wouldn't be the most exciting thing to me to study day in and day out. Happiness I get into. I talk about happiness a lot. I talk about attitude a lot. Remember, you can control your own attitude. But financial security can certainly add some buoyancy to keep that idea afloat, right? That you're happy. So in this study, what Mr. Kahneman found out, and early on he found this out, that your happiness increased, but to a point where it kind of peaked. And he called that point the ceiling effect. And I'm going to explain that a little bit. So what the ceiling effect basically states by Mr. Kahneman is that it showed that if you made, just arbitrary examples here, but if you made $50,000 a year, and you suddenly, or not suddenly, but grew to $60,000 a year over a couple years, whatever the time frame is, it certainly helped your happiness go up. Your happiness went up on that. Makes sense, right? I mean, first of all, 50 to 60 grand, you just got 20% increase in your income. That provides a lot of freedom and lack of anxiety. Get to invest in your future, get to take care of some debt, get to do some nice things for your significant others, children, friends, family, philanthropic endeavors, whatever it might be. Hell, buy shit that's bad for you. I don't care. But what it also found is that if you were at 90K, you could probably tap yourself out. In other words, making more than 90K was this number that he found in his studies really didn't drive a lot of happiness. So if you went from 90K to 120K, $90,000 a year to $120,000 a year, again, a 33% increase over the 90K. 120,000 minus 90,000 is 30,000. 30,000 goes into 90,000 three times. 33% increase. He found that your overall happiness wouldn't necessarily rise. Now, that's a big difference, man. 30 grand's a lot of money. There are people that work all year for $30,000. That's a big nut. How is that not causing happiness to increase? This puzzled a lot of scientists for years. Then finally in 2021, a group of the scientists decided to dig a little deeper. It found then that it contradicted the earlier findings. They found different results. They found, which I buy into more. I mean, the first thing I read is, who doesn't enjoy a little bit more income? But they found an increase of income at any level were related in some manner to increases in happiness. In other words, what they found is that if you went from 50 to 60, you got a little happier. If you went from 60 to 70, you got a little happier. If you went from 100 to 110, 120, 130, 200 to 250, 300 to 350, $15 an hour to $17 an hour, there was always some happiness increase there. Now, why in the world would two groups of really smart people get different results? So they all thought about it, and they did a really cool thing. I had not heard of this before. But to explain the findings, they decided, all these different scientists, they would publish what is known as an adversarial collaboration, academic partnership. That's a whole lot. An ACAP, an ACAP, an adversarial collaboration academic partnership. To do it for the benefit of science. Explanation point. Doing it for the better of humanity. Doing it for the greater good. So the scientists were by the name of Killingsworth and then Mr. Kahneman from the first article and a Mr. Mellors. You know what they found out? See, the science is never settled, folks, in anything. 1 degree Celsius doesn't mean the world's going to end. A bad storm doesn't mean the world's ending. The COVID vaccine doing well in initial tests without all the data being released doesn't mean it was the cure-all. That's why they put things through trials. It's why medicine and science are called a practice, because it's always evolving. Remember, the earth was flat. Sun revolved around us. All these things have had to be tested to come up with the validity of it, to challenge it. You have to continue to look because we get more and more information on all the time. Both of them were wrong. Both those studies were wrong. What? Yes, really. Here's where the good stuff comes. They found that the relationship between wealth and happiness was more puzzling than expected. It wasn't as simple as, did the money bring you happiness or did it not? What they found is this. Imagine this. I've talked about this since the inception of the Dr. Leadership Podcast in September of 2022. There's different types of people. The two different types are this. One, the happy majority. The most of this world wants to go through it and be happy. Be optimistic. Lean into things. Run to, not from. But there is this number 2 level of person, as a comparable, the unhappy minority. And the wealth to happiness results was directly tied to what type of person you are. Imagine that. Happiness is never brought by a thing. Happiness is brought through your own mental strength, your ability for appreciation, your ability of understanding, your ability to drive through optimistic instead of pessimistic views. That's where happiness comes from. What type of person are you? If you aren't really happy, is it because you're surrounding yourself with things that bring you down or validate your worries? Do you go to the coffee pot at the office in the morning and nag with others? Remember, if you focus on good, good grows. If you focus on crap, crap grows. Wherever your focus is, you're going to have an impact on growth in that section. Don't hang with the losers, man. Be a trendsetter, not a follower. Get in and be happy. Understand that everything isn't perfect in this world, undoubtedly. Look at the good, and then try to, through positive engagement and steps, impact the things that don't make you so happy. So there's basically, in this science discovery, they came up with the number, there's about 15% of the unhappiest people. And that 15%, the ceiling effect that Dr. Kellerman talked about, you get to 90K, and anything over that 90K, there wasn't any additional happiness. That bottom 15%, the unhappiest people, that ceiling effect was true. No matter how much more money they made, their happiness would not increase. But the different opinion here, and where the discovery came from, is that the top percentage, 25, 30% of the happiest people saw their happiness increase with every dollar of additional monies coming into their coffers. They saw continuous improvement. It's called appreciation. It's called understanding they're fortunate. It's called understanding hard work has payoffs and dividends. There's no privilege in this world based on financial results unless you put in the hard work. Some people think luck has something to do with it. Whenever someone brings up luck, whatever I'm looking at that they're calling lucky, I see an awful lot of hard work along with it. Someone has put their head down for years. Remember, successful people do what unsuccessful people don't want or like to do. It's the simplest analogy to remember in the world. You want to be successful, you want to be happy? Control it. Be successful. Be happy. If you can't be successful in this world, it's on you. It's not on anybody else. It is all about your outlook in life. There's thousands of books. My wife is a voracious reader, and she focuses on a lot of happiness things, and it helps her, right? You know, it helps bring her up when she's down. It's a good attitude adjuster for hers, and she remembers every author and every book. It just amazes. She ought to be a librarian. Her best friend actually was in a different business for a long, long time, was a teacher. Very, very admirable position in life, taking care of our kids. She wasn't a crazy one either, focused on reading, writing, and arithmetic and made sure that they were ready for the next grade level and passed them on. But she was stressed out with the parents, which I can certainly imagine. Some of the most unhappy people. Their kids are special, just ask them. Why isn't Jimmy or Julie getting all A's? Well, it's because Jimmy and Julie didn't do the homework. Well, no, Jimmy and Julie are special. So she became a librarian. My wife would love to do that too with all these books. But I digress. It's all about your outlook in life. There's thousands of books. There's podcasts, including this one. Tell your friends. There's videos. There's still some people that just like to be flippin' bummed out. And I don't get it. I've always said this one I coined. There are certain people in this world that would bitch about the taxes if they won the lottery. Think about that. Hey, scratch off right here. Hey, just won 50 grand. Oh, great. Uncle Sam's taking 20. Dude, you walked in to buy a pack of smokes or a tin of chew and you're walking out with 30K. Shut up. There are those type of people. Or on vacation, they complain about the resort. Oh my God. I'll tell you, so I love to travel and I love to look at different places to travel, look at resorts. I'm really OCD on it. I look at all the positives of it. Oh man, great location, close to the airport. Looks like the food's awesome, man. That pool's incredible. Got a spa associated with it. Got beach and pool. Got great excursions you can do, all that type of stuff. You can take the greatest, you can take a Four Seasons, you can take a Ritz, you can take a Secrets, you can take a Sandals, and you open up Google and reviews, and you will find people that just are, the service was horrible. We ordered nachos at 2 a.m, and it didn't get there till 2:30. I mean, there's literally these people that cannot be made happy. Some people cannot be happy. It's insane. Why are you going through life unhappy? I don't get it. I'm going through my notes here, just going, what in the hell is the matter with people that they cannot understand that we live in a blessed time? Think about those that have come before us. Think about all of the hardship that has had to happen for us to be where we are today. Now, money doesn't buy happiness, but it sure can get you a lot of cool stuff. Money doesn't buy happiness, but it gives you freedom to do things that make you happy. Money doesn't buy happiness, but happy people are happy. This is always about the 6 inches between your ears. I say it often. You are in control of your attitude, and your attitude determines your outcomes. We make choices, and choices make us. I've made bad choices in my life. I've tried to correct them. I've tried to be better. Personal things, relationship things. I'm not perfect. Don't even pretend to be. I got all sorts of problems, folks. The reason I do this is to help myself, too. But one thing I'm pretty good at is I am a pretty optimistic, outgoing, happy person. I engage with others. I want to be supportive. I was at the airport coming back from a meeting a couple weeks ago, and my flights got canceled the night before. I was going to get home late on a Thursday night, had an absolutely packed Friday. Had a kickoff. I've got some new responsibilities, nice promotion. I'm very, very blessed. Been surrounded by great people that have enabled me to be put in the position I am today. I think I've given some good things back, but I'm very, very fortunate. But I've been given this new opportunity, and I had my first big meeting for all leadership, 40 or 50 people that are that I'm responsible for from a leadership standpoint, and then hundreds of individual contributors. And I had to cancel that because my flight got canceled the night before. So I get rescheduled on the Friday 6 a.m. flight. So I have to be at the airport at 5 a.m., so I have to get up at 4 a.m. And I had been up at 4 a.m. 3 days earlier to make the trip out to where I was in Philly. One thing Des Moines is not great at is a lot of direct flights where you need to go all the time. Some great flights, direct flights, you can get all over the country, but certain things you just can't do direct. So I had to get up at 4 a.m. to be able to be somewhere by 2 in the afternoon to make the first day of the meetings happen. So I get up at 4 a.m. I get to the airport at about 10 till 5. I get up. I've already checked in. I travel. I can do 4 days on just carry-on because I've perfected that over the decades. But there's some people that, take bags and check them in because they're going on longer trips, etc. I get up to the gate. I check on the board. It says it's at this gate. I go to the gate, and there's a plane and a bunch of people sitting there, and there's no attendant, no flight attendant, not flight attendant, but gate attendant there yet. And they're trying to load right next to us. I see a plane. Okay, all's good. It still says on time on my app. And this is all about happiness and not letting things upset you and being appreciative and understanding what the big picture really is. So the captain and the crew comes up, and the captain's looking, and he says, "No gate attendant?" I said, "No, we're waiting to hear." And he goes, "Well, we're going to be delayed." And I go, "Why are we going to?" And a bunch of us stand there. There's about 6 or 7 of us right there by the roped off area to walk in. Everybody else sitting, feet away. The captain goes, "Oh, you didn't hear? Well, the belt system that when you check luggage, you come walking in, any airline, the whole airport was down. They throw your bags that you give them to check in on the belt behind them, and it goes through the wall and then in the back. And then what happens in the back is it's all automated. It goes through TSA, Transportation Safety Administration, scans for bombs, explosives, x-rays the systems, make sure there aren't, things in there that aren't supposed to be there, dangerous items, etc., explosive devices, all that, routes out the little pull-behind carts, pull up, get the bags. It's sent to specific areas to load for specific flights. They go out and they load the plane. That system had failed for the entire airport. So now what is happening is TSA agents are in the back, hand going through thousands of bags to make sure there's nothing inside of them, messing with your dirty and your clean skivvies to make sure you don't have something bad in there. Oof. Rubber glove time for me on that one. Woo! So he says, we're probably going to be at least an hour late. Now, I had an hour and 20 minutes in between my connections on the next one. So now I'm thinking, oh God, here we go again. And I feel my pulse start to get up. And I look online, and now the app says, you've been delayed. It says 30 minutes. I say to the captain, they just said 30 minutes. He goes, that ain't going to happen. I go, great. Thanks for the optimism, Captain. But I'm appreciative of him, and thank you, sir. Appreciate what you're doing. I actually said that to him. So I start looking at what's my next option. Now, I was going to land in Detroit, then at 7:30, and my flight was at 8:55. So I had an hour and 25 minutes originally. Now I'm an hour late. Now I got 25 minutes. And it's saying you may not make your connection on the app. The next available flight is 8 p.m. I'm like, oh my God. I had to go back and find a hotel last night. I've been on the road for 3 days with a bunch of knuckleheads that I work with that I love. But now this thing's falling apart again. Now I'm going to have to spend 13 hours at my connection airport. I'm not happy. I get it. But other people start to lose their minds. So I step up, waiting for a gate agent, and I'm behind a young lady. And the captain's standing there again. He comes up and comes back from the plane, gets a report. And the lady starts just nagging on him. Where's the gate attendant? Everybody's checking bags. I'm sorry, she'll be here right away. Well, every moment that she's not here, he's not here, I can't get my next connection done. Which, although being a true statement, not controllable. You know what I want? I want the pilot happy. I want the ground crew to make sure the plane's ready to fly. I want to get home before I determine what hour I need to get home. And she was a nagging and a nagging and a nagging. So here comes the gate agent. She goes, I'm so sorry I'm late. I'm downstairs checking, trying to handle some of the issues there. And this lady just starts jumping on her. And the gal goes, just give me a minute, ma'am. I'll help you. The lady storms away. I'm going to call customer service. I step up. This lady's very frazzled. She's going, gosh, I forgot my water. She says, I forgot my water. She then calls me up, sir, can I help you? I step up and go, how you doing? She goes, I'm sorry I'm late. And I go, I don't care that you're late. I'm glad you're here. I appreciate what you do. At times it can be thankless. This is going to be a hard day for you, isn't it? She goes, it's happening this time in the morning. It blows up the whole day, right? Train comes off the track. It pulls all the cars behind it off the track too. All the planes behind are going to be late. So she helps me, gets me a seat assignment, and she goes, you're going to be real close on your connection if this thing gets out of here an hour late. I said, yeah, what can you do for me? She goes, I'm going to overbook you on the noon flight. You know why she did that? It's because I was nice to her. She didn't have to do that. She could easily look down. I have the app. I can see all the flight information. No seats, no seats, no seats. 8 o'clock, there's a seat. It's 5 seats, the 8 o'clock, actually. She goes, I'll overbook you. She goes, you'll be there early. You'll get a seat assignment, and then they'll just buy somebody out. You know, somebody's flying to Des Moines. They'll buy them out, and they'll put them on the 8 o'clock. Someone will take the $500. Great. Thank you. Another guy comes up, starts working behind the counter. He goes, man, what a long day. I didn't even get my coffee. I says, hey, I appreciate you too. So what I did is I walked away. I now have my flights. Walked around the corner, got in line at Starbucks. I got a bottle of water and a coffee. These people were going to have a long day. I came back, walked up, set the coffee with a couple of hand sugars and a hand cream thing and a bottle of water. And I said, thanks for all you're doing, man. I hope your guys' day goes out okay. They looked at me like I had two heads. Thank you so much. And the people behind, I wanted them to see that. I didn't do it for my benefit. I wanted to show some people that just be nice. It doesn't do any good. These people that are throwing punches on flights and disrupting planes and getting hauled off, start throwing their butts in jail. It's time that we don't let the inmates run the asylum any longer here. Money doesn't buy happiness, but money gives you the opportunity for freedom. Happiness and appreciation is built from your core inside of you. That's what my message is to all of you. Go through life happy. Go through life with optimism. Be appreciative. Be compassionate. Be empathic. And most of all, be awesome. Keep that shit up. Talk next week.